Manufacturing technology is a term that can refer to a number of modern methods of science, production, and engineering that assist in industrial production and various manufacturing processes. Material science, on the other hand, is an interdisciplinary field involving the properties of matter and its applications to various areas of science and engineering. In this section, we will deal with certain important questions pertaining to manufacturing and material science. This question would be like, what is pitting? What is caustic embrittlement? Why is cast iron seasoning important before machining? What is the role of nitrogen in welding, and many more. Define pitting. Pitting is a form of extremely localized corrosion that leads to the creation of small holes in the metal. The perfect answer for this question would be, it is a type of corrosion that turns to a small hole in the metal. What is caustic embrittlement? Caustic embrittlement is the phenomena in which the material of a boiler becomes brittle due to the accumulation of caustic substance. Now, this caustic substance are the substances which are able to burn or corrode organic tissue by chemical action. So the perfect answer for this particular question would be, caustic embrittlement is a physical change in the metal. In this phenomenon, the boiler becomes brittle because of accumulation of caustic soda. What parameters influence the tool life? Tool life is defined as the time period between two successive grinding of tool and two successive replacement of tool. A cutting tool should have long tool life. When a tool no longer performs the desired function, then it is said that the tool reached its end of life. A tool's life is given by Taylor's tool life equation, which is given by Vt to power n is equal to C. So the perfect answer for this question would be, the parameters influencing tool life are tool material, work material, speed, feed, depth of cut, tool geometry, cutting fluid, built-up edge generation, and vibrational behavior of the machine tool. Distinguish between a zig and a fixture. The major difference between zig and fixture is that zig is a type of tool used to control the location or motion of another tool, whereas fixture is a support or a work holding device which is used to hold work in place. In metal and as well in woodworking, both jigs and fixtures are essential tools used. So the perfect answer for this particular question would be, zig clamps and locates parts in positive manner and guides cutting tools like drills, reamers, taps, etc. Whereas fixture is bolted or fixed securely to the machine table so that work is in correct location to the cutter or the machine tool. Fixtures are used for mass milling, turning and grinding. What is the main classification of coal? Coal is a combustible black or brownish black sedimentary rock which is formed as rock strata called coal seams. Coal is mostly carbon with variable amount of other elements, chiefly hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen and nitrogen. So its answer would be, according to the rank, the coal is classified as peat, lignite, subbituminous, bituminous and anthracite. Among these ranks, peat has the lowest ranking and anthracite has the highest. Explain knurling. In manufacturing, knurling is a finishing process used to create any combination of horizontal, vertical, or crossing lines on the surface of a workpiece. Knurling is a manufacturing process typically conducted on a lathe, whereby a pattern of straight, angled, or crossed lines is rolled into the material. The answer to this question would be, it is a manufacturing process conducted on a center lathe to create a raised crisscross pattern on a smooth round bar to be used as a handle or something that requires extra grip. Why is cast iron seasoning important before machining process? Cast iron seasoning is a layer of carbonized oil. Seasoning is just oil baked onto cast iron through a process called polymerization. It gives your cookware that classic black patina look. Seasoning forms a natural, easy release cooking surface and helps prevent your pan from rusting. The answer to this question would be, cast iron seasoning is important for easy machining and saving the cutting edge of the tool. Define case hardening. Case hardening or surface hardening is the process of hardening the surface of a metal object while allowing the metal deeper underneath to remain soft and thus forming a thin layer of harder metal which we call the case. And this case is formed at the surface. The answer to this question would be, case hardening is a method of making outer surface of the steel parts harder. It is done to use low carbon steel. Why is heat treatment of steel metal crucial? Heat treating is a group of industrial, thermal and metalworking processes used to alter the physical and sometimes chemical properties of a material? The answer to this question would be, it is important to get the desired property, the change in electrical and magnetic properties, and relieving of stress after hot or cold working. And that's why heat treatment of steel metal is very crucial. What is the role of nitrogen in welding? Welding is a fabrication process whereby two or more parts are fused together by means of heat pressure or both, forming a joint as soon as the part cools. So the answer to this question would be, nitrogen is used to prevent porosity in the welding member by preventing oxygen and air from entering the molten metal during the welding process. Other gases are also used for this purpose, such as argon, helium, carbon dioxide. How does iron ore turn into steel? Steel is an alloy of iron with typically a few percent of carbon to improve its strength and fracture resistance as compared that to iron. Many other elements may be present or added. The answer to this question would be, iron ore is refined into iron and the carbon is burned away using very high heat. A percentage of carbon and other trace elements are added back to make steel. What is extruded aluminium? Aluminium extrusion is a process by which aluminium alloy material is forced through a die with a specific cross-sectional profile. The answer to this particular question would be, extrusion is the process where a metal or a metal bar is pulled through a mandrel to elongate it or give it a final shape. Aluminium which is extruded is a common form of making small aluminium wire, bars or beams and many varieties of small non-structural decorative pieces. How the rank of the coal is obtained? Coal is classified into four main types or ranks: anthracite, bituminous, subbituminous, and ignite. The ranking depends on the types and amounts of carbon, the coal content, and on the amount of heat energy the coal can produce. The answer to this question would be, the rank of the coal is determined by the carbon-hydrogen ratio. The ratio of carbon increases from 75% to 93% and the hydrogen content decreases from 20 to 3%. What do you mean by annealing? Annealing is a heat treatment process used mostly to increase the ductility and reduce the hardness of a material. This change in hardness and ductility is a result of the reduction of dislocations in the crystal structure of the material. The answer to this question would be, Annealing is the process of heating any material above the recrystallization temperature and cooling after some time. This process increases the hardness and strength of the material. The result you will get is a reduction of dislocation in the crystal structure of the metal or the material being annealed. Explain the important rules that must be kept in mind while designing castings. You need to keep the section thickness uniform as much as possible. Sudden changes in the thickness should be avoided. You must avoid large flat surfaces because large spaces are difficult to create. Always use a curved shape to improve the stress handling of the cast. How can you identify mild steel, cast iron, and high carbon steel? You can identify these metals by spark testing. Mild steel gives medium and dense sparks. Cast iron gives very thick and short flashes, whereas high carbon steel gives long and thick sparks. How to report calorific value of fuel? The heat value of a fuel is the amount of heat released during its combustion. It is also referred to as calorific value. This heat value is a measure of fuel's energy density and it is expressed in terms of joules. The answer to this question would be, in order to report the calorific value of the fuel, we can report it as a received or wet basis, as dry or moisture-free basis, and combustible or ash basis. How is martensite structure formed in steel? Martensite transformation begins when austenite is cooled below a certain critical temperature, which is called the martensite start temperature. As we go below the martensite start temperature, more and more martensite forms and complete transformation occurs only at a temperature called martensite finish temperature. Formation of martensite requires that the austenite phase must be cooled rapidly. In order to understand what are these phases of iron-carbon diagram, you must have a clear idea of FEC phase diagram. How oxygen can be removed from steel during melting, and what are fully killed steels? Fully killed is the term to describe deoxidized steel. Deoxidized steel is a steel that has some or all of the oxygen removed from the melt during the steel making process. Liquid steels contain dissolved oxygen after their conversion from molten iron, but the solubility of oxygen in steel decreases with cooling. The answer to this question would be, oxygen can be removed by adding elements such as manganese, silicon, or aluminium. Because of their high affinity for oxygen, they react with it to form non-metallic oxides, which rises up into the slag. Steels which have had most of their dissolved oxygen removed are known as fully killed steels. Describe lathe chucks. A lathe chuck is mounted on the headstock of a lathe and can be actuated manually or under power. Typically, it is used to hold a rotating workpiece, such as a bar, and some can also hold irregular shaped objects. The answer to this question would be chucks are the work holding devices for lathe. They are mechanical vices which hold the workpiece and transfer rotational motion of the drive motor to the workpiece. Chucks are adjustable and they can be of two basic types: 3-jaw self-centering chuck and 4-jaw independent chuck.